If you've taken your child to specialist after specialist, run the tests, tried the supplements, changed the diet, done the therapies, followed the protocols, and you are still sitting here thinking, why is nothing actually changing? I want you to hear this. There may be one missing piece that no one has explained. That piece is called subluxation. And I know that word may sound old school or confusing, but when you understand what subluxation really is, especially from a neurological perspective, it can completely change how you see your child's symptoms, because this is not just about the spine. This is about brain-body communication. Today, so many children are struggling with chronic patterns. ADHD, anxiety, sensory issues, gut problems, sleep struggles, immune challenges, colic, reflux, constipation, focus issues, emotional dysregulation, and so much more. And parents are often told they'll grow out of it, or it's just genetics, or let's wait and see. But here's the hard truth. Kids rarely grow out of these patterns. Most times, they grow into the next version of them. Colic becomes ear infections. Ear infections become sensory issues. Sensory issues become focus struggles. Focus struggles become anxiety. Same nervous system, new label. It gets called something different at each age and stage, but the root pattern is often very similar. A stressed out, wound up, out of balance nervous system. Most people were taught to think of subluxation as a bone out of place, and that is a small part of the picture, but it's not the whole picture. Subluxation is not just structural, it is neurological. There are really three layers happening altogether. First, there can be a misalignment or structural shift within the neurospinal system. Second, there's a fixation or restricted motion where the joints lose their ability to move freely. And third, there's neurological interference. The brain stops receiving clean, organized information from the body, and instead it starts receiving stress signals. So subluxation is not just about posture, it is not just about pain, and it is not just about a bone. It is about the signal between the brain and the body. Your child's body was designed to communicate clearly. Clear signal, clear input, clear output. Subluxation interferes with that communication. It's sort of like taking a body that was designed to operate at high speed and dropping it down to dial up. The messages are still trying to get through, but they are slower, noisier, and less organized. And this is where one of the most important pieces comes in, proprioception. Proprioception is basically your body's GPS. It is the constant stream of information coming from the joints, muscles, ligaments, and connective tissue that tells the brain, here is where the body is in space. Here is how much muscle tone we need. Here is how to coordinate this movement. Here is what is safe. Proprioception is one of the largest streams of sensory input the brain receives. It is constant. It is foundational. It is happening underneath everything else. When the spine is moving well, the brain gets steady, organized input. But when a joint locks down, loses normal motion, then proprioception drops. And when proprioception drops, nociception goes up. Nociception is the brain's threat signal. It is the input that says something is wrong here, pay attention, protect, tighten, guard, react. So think of it sort of like a seesaw. When healthy proprioceptive input goes down, stress-based nociceptive input goes up. The brain starts getting fewer, everything is safe and coordinated signals and more alert, alert, alert signals, and that changes everything. Now your brain's receiving signals all day long that the body is under threat, even when there is no obvious danger in the room. This is why some kids live on edge all the time. This is why they melt down over the silliest things. This is why they cannot filter noise, handle transitions, settle at night, digest well, regulate emotions, or even feel comfortable in their own bodies. They're not being dramatic. Their nervous system is interpreting the world through a threat filter. Now, let's talk about why the upper neck and brainstem matter so much. The brainstem is like air traffic control for the body. It coordinates breathing, heart rate, digestion, immune function, sensory processing, motor control, and so many other automatic functions all at the same time. When air traffic control is overwhelmed or disorganized, planes may not be able to land smoothly. The brainstem is also like an operating system. If the operating system is glitching, every program running on it can start to struggle. And the upper neck region is one of the most important areas because it is loaded with proprioceptors and has a deep relationship with the vagus nerve, which is one of the major calming and regulating pathways of the nervous system. The vagus nerve helps the body shift out of survival mode and into regulation, digestion, healing, and connection. That is why the brainstem affects so many things at once. It affects regulation, it affects sleep, it affects digestion, immune tone, heart rate, breathing, sensory processing, how the brain filters input, how the brain decides what is safe. It also sets the sensory thresholds, and it affects motor development, tone, reflexes, posture, milestones, coordination, speech motor planning. This is why subluxation in the upper cervical region can show up so differently in different kids. One child may have reflux and sleep struggles. Another may have sensory overload. Another may have anxiety. Another may have constipation or toe walking or speech delays. Same root pattern, different expression. When the brainstem is under stress and the vagus nerve is not functioning well, the immune system can lose its off switch. The stress response can lose its brake pedal, and the brain can lose clear awareness of what is happening inside the body. So how does this happen? This is where we talk about the perfect storm. Genetics may load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. And for many kids, there are 3 layers that stack over time. The first layer is prenatal stress and maternal fetal distress. This is not about blame. I want to say that clearly. This is not about blaming moms. Most moms had no idea this mattered. They were doing the best they could with what they knew. But stress chemistry does matter. When mom is under chronic stress during pregnancy, the baby is developing inside that chemical environment during one of the most important neurological windows of life. Again, this is not about shame or blame. This is just information. The second layer is birth trauma and birth interventions. Forceps, vacuum extraction, Pitocin induction, prolonged pushing, C-sections after long labors, even deliveries that are called routine can place enormous mechanical stress on a baby's upper neck and brainstem. And most parents have no idea this is even possible. The delivery room can create invisible forces that affect the nervous system before a baby ever takes that first breath. The third layer is the environmental storm. Genetics do not change this fast. The environment does. The rise in autism, ADHD, anxiety, autoimmune issues, gut dysfunction, and chronic illness over the last 20 to 30 years cannot be explained by genetics alone. What has changed dramatically is the world our children are developing in. From conception forward, today's kids are exposed to stressors that their grandparents never encountered at this level. Pesticides, industrial chemicals, heavy metals, ultra-processed foods, disrupted gut microbiomes, repeated antibiotics, toxic exposures, and chronic immune activation that never really gets a break. I often explain this with the bucket analogy. Every child has a bucket. Stress fills the bucket. When the bucket overflows, symptoms spill out. We cannot always control everything that pours into that bucket, but we can help increase capacity. We can help improve drainage. We can help the nervous system become more adaptable, more resilient, and less overwhelmed. So what does this actually look like in real kids? It often looks like a child who is wound up and worn out at the same time. One foot is stuck on the gas pedal, one is stuck on the brake. That is dysautonomia. Internal chaos and exhaustion happening together. In babies and children, this can show up as colic, reflux, constipation, ear infections, poor sleep, frequent illness, low muscle tone, high muscle tone, W-sitting, toe walking, clumsiness. It can show up as sensory seeking, sensory avoiding, meltdowns, overload, an inability to filter input. It can show up as speech delays, anxiety, focus issues, emotional dysregulation, stimming, tics, and over time we see a progression. First, sympathetic dominance. The child is stuck in fight or flight. Then, dysregulation. The system becomes less flexible and less adaptable. Then, neurological exhaustion. This is where regression can begin. The child may lose skills, lose resilience, or become more reactive, more shut down, or more overwhelmed. And I want parents to hear this clearly. Your child is not broken. Your child is not bad. Your child may not be defiant. They are probably overwhelmed. Their body is running a sprint while everyone around them is asking to be calm. So how does something this important get missed? Because most systems are looking downstream. Conventional pediatrics often focuses on symptoms, growth charts, basic milestones, and managing one issue at a time. Functional medicine can be incredibly helpful for gut health, nutrition, toxins, inflammation, and the microbiome, but here is the problem. There's still a gap if the nervous system's not addressed first, because the nervous system controls the system's functional medicine is trying to support. Functional neurology can also do great work with reflexes, eye movements, balance, and brain-based rehab, but sequence matters. If subluxation is creating interference in the neurospinal system, then trying to correct retained reflexes or any higher level function without addressing that foundation can be frustrating at best. It's like trying to fix B before A, and then there is the supplement spreadsheet trap. Parents come in with 30 to 40 supplements. They're spending thousands of dollars a month. They are trying so hard, but their child is still not healing the way they hoped. That does not mean they're doing the wrong things. Sometimes it just means they're doing the right things in the wrong order. This is the missing link. It is the piece hidden in plain sight. You have not been failing. You have been missing one specific piece of the puzzle. And once that piece is addressed, many of the other things you are already doing will work better. This is why we do not guess. We test. We look deeper than the surface. Insight scans give us objective neurological measurements. They help us see how the nervous system is functioning, not just how the spine looks or how the child is behaving on the outside. The neurothermal scan helps us detect patterns of regional dysautonomia. It gives us insight into which organs, glands, and systems may be under stress or struggling with regulation. The neurospinal EMG or neurocore scan measures motor system tension, asymmetry, confusion, and exhaustion. It helps us see inefficient or abnormal muscle energy patterns caused by neurological stress. HRV, or heart rate variability, helps us understand autonomic adaptability and reserve. It gives us a window into how well the body can shift, recover, and regulate. These scans together help us see what's going on neurologically. Then we use neurotonal adjustments. They're gentle, specific, neurologically targeted adjustments. This is not twisting, cracking, popping. It's not what most people think about when they think about chiropractic. This is about restoring signal clarity. It's about helping the nervous system receive better input, organize better, have better output, and move out of survival mode. We call this foundation before function. Then the other supports, OT, PT, nutrition, gut work, speech therapy, emotional support, can often work so much better because the child's system then has more capacity to receive them. That is the multiplier effect. And healing usually does not happen randomly. We often see soft signs in the body first, then changes in the brain and behavior later. Sleep may shift first, then digestion, then immune function, then motor patterns, then sensory processing, then behavior, then speech, then cognition. That order matters. It is not always perfectly linear, but there is a very predictable sequence when the foundation begins to change. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. Your child's chronic challenges are not random. They are not just genetic. They are not just how they are. There is a nervous system explanation. There is a root pattern, and there is a clear path. I am not telling you to throw away everything else you are doing. I'm telling you to put the foundation in place first. When we focus on the sequence, when we get the batting order right, healing can start to happen in a much more organized and predictable way. So get the scans. Find out what is actually happening neurologically. You deserve answers, and your child deserves a strong foundation.